Good morning, good morning. I'm Reverend Karen Einhaus, and it is my joy to be here. I am so grateful to have a place like the New Vision Center to come to every Sunday morning. There's not even a question in my mind. You might say, yeah, you're the senior minister. I hope you come here Sunday morning. But that's not it. When I found this teaching 15 years ago, from the very first time I walked into those doors over on Mountain View and cried through my first 3 services, because I couldn't even hear what was said. I just felt this energy and my heart was being opened. And so from that moment on, I knew this is what I want to do on Sunday mornings. And so I am so grateful that you have made that choice here today, here in the sanctuary, here on our online community. We feel your presence here, and I am just so incredibly grateful for it. So today we are going to lean into a topic that is near and dear to my heart, and I want to start off with a story, a Zen story. This is said to take place in a mountain seed ceremony at the San Francisco Zen Center when a student asked a new incoming abbot, "What can the Dharma teach me about serving others?" Now we can translate that into our teaching. What can this teaching, what can the science of mind teach me about serving others? And the abbot answered, "What others? Serve yourself." "How," then the student persisted, "can I serve myself?" And the new abbot responded, "Take care of others." I love that. I love that, because it speaks to what I want to have a conversation about today, and that is this idea that in order to serve another, in order to serve a spiritual center, a relationship, an endeavor, in order to serve, it has to be a mutual, beneficial relationship. And so we're going to talk a lot today about the power of service. Because, and here's a little spoiler for those of you who like to, read the last page of the book. The spoiler is this: we can engage in what looks on the outside as service, as offering, as volunteering. And when we don't approach it as an equal relationship with that which we serve, when we look at it as being less than, or that something needs help or needs fixing, we don't get the benefits of service. And so today we are going to look at what is service really? What is this idea to serve another? And as we just heard from the abbot, that really means to serve ourselves. So to come into right relationship with this thing we call life. Are you ready? Yes. All right. So I want to position it first, this whole talk, in our wonderful annual theme, Every Path Leads Home. And we have this wonderful graphic that helps us to feel into where we're coming from today. So today we're really looking at sacred service, obviously, and also at commitment and communion. Because those are some of the aspects of being in service. Now, Dr. Ernest Holmes, he says something that I will share in a little while. I keep you on the edge of your seats. Okay, so Ram Dass, actually, he says, If we want to step into service, we need to be willing to look within and understand that in order to be of the most service to others, we must face our own doubts, needs, and resistance. So he points towards that in order for us to step really into service, we need to be willing to have a look in where am I coming from. Now, for those of you who are currently in the Power of Your Word class, you will correctly say, oh, wait a minute, I know where this is going. This is going to our teaching symbol. We all probably are familiar with that beautiful circle with a V inside it that depicts and helps us to look at the creative process. This idea that the honest of life, the purity of spirit, as wisdom, as peace, as harmony, as joy is available to all of us at every moment. And the way it comes into our own expression, it has to go through that middle section. And that, beloveds, is the section where our own, perhaps limiting beliefs, all beliefs live in that section, and also how we see the world. And so this helps us, it helps me, and I hope it helps you, but it helps me always when I find myself in a situation that is showing up quite differently than I had envisioned that, to ask myself, what is mine in here? How did I help create this? Because we are a teaching that believes that we create every experience in our lives, and that it's there for us to learn more about who? About ourselves, and how we can answer that call of the divine to know more of spirit. That's what's happening. That's what happens in every situation. And so we can take something such as service, as being in service to others, and we can learn things about ourselves if we are willing. And here is the fork in the road, beloveds. Here's the moment where you, here in the sanctuary and online, are asked to perhaps close your eyes if you're willing and ask yourself this question. Am I willing to look at how I show up for service? Am I willing to look at what comes with it? Now, you don't have to share the answer to that, but it helps you to realize from where in the creative process you are hearing this talk. It helps you to discern, is this for me? Do I want to really have all of the benefits that come from being in service? Or perhaps the question is, I often feel like I don't get quite of the benefits of being in service. What can I do differently? So what are those benefits of service? What are the benefits of being present for another, of supporting another? Well, there are many, and I would like to point out a couple. First of all, it helps us to connect to others, right? We can all agree to that. When we are coming together for a common good, it helps us feel connected to another. We experience that here in this spiritual community if we are having the project of the Peace and Meditation Garden or the social hall or creating a Sunday service. We feel that coming together and the benefit that holds this community together and lifts us up. Serving one another is also good for our mind and body. It is actually medically proven that it's benefiting not only our mind, but also our experience of health and well-being. It helps us to reduce stress and lower blood pressure. Another benefit of volunteering is that it can help us further our careers, right? We learn things. We learn, perhaps, as a team leader, how to work with others. We discover ways of interacting that are beneficial. And it can be fun and fulfilling. And most of all, volunteering or service helps us be in service, helps us to grow as a person. It helps us to develop a sense of empathy. And here's where Dr. Ernest Holmes comes in, because he reminds us we should give of ourselves in love and in service to others, in a spirit of generosity and good fellowship. To refuse to give is to refuse to receive, for everything moves in circles. Real giving is the givingness of the self. A kind word, a thoughtful act, perhaps just a smile, can help lighten the burdens of others. Love that. Muhammad Ali, I think we have a slide for this. He says, service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on planet Earth. That is the rent we pay. Now, all of that is really not new news, right? We all have heard about the benefits of serving, the benefits of volunteering, of stepping into service. We all have heard that. Now, why then do we sometimes have the experience that it is not providing us with all of those benefits? The person that I have discovered that helps me understand that is Rachel Naomi Remen. Many of you may have heard about her. As a matter of fact, if you have gone through our Pathway to Partnership, through our membership class, the essay that she wrote in the Service of Life is part of that package. Because what we have found many years ago, before Reverend Leslie and I became senior ministers at this center, actually it was Reverend Penny Masick who brought that essay of Rachel Naomi Remen to the forefront. We learned that there's a distinct difference to helping out because somebody needs to pass out the keep me sheets at the door, to being in service and being available to serve whatever needs to be done. Now, what is that difference between helping and serving? You see, we heard that if we are truly in service, we are experiencing it as an equal relationship, an equal. And then if we are helping, what does that imply? That implies, well, I have some strength over here, and there's something weak that needs my help. Do you feel the difference? Yes, I see nodding here. I think I saw somebody nodding online too. Yes, it's very different. It's subtle. It's very subtle. And yet it makes a huge difference. And you know, when we know where we are on that spectrum of feeling wanting to serve or needing to help, I see a need and I help it out. We discover it when we find ourselves in a situation where we need assistance. Now breathe into that. I cannot tell you how often I hear from beloveds who come to me and say, I have to ask for help and it is so hard for me, right? It is hard for us. It is hard to ask for something, for support. However, if we are steeped in and anchored in the way that Dr. Ernest Holmes speaks about service and the way we promote being in service here is I am here to serve what is before me. I have special gifts or unique gifts and talents, and so does every person here. Every person. Each and every one of us has a unique gift available to be shared if you choose. We know that. We anchor into that every moment. And so then the question becomes, am I willing to look within to see what is mine to give and then to give it generously from that place? That is very different than helping. So Dr. Naomi says this: serving makes us aware of our wholeness and its power. The wholeness in us serves the wholeness in others, the wholeness in life. So the realization, which is really the second step of our treatment, right? The first step is we acknowledge that God is all there is, and then the second step is where we step in and I am of it. Well, as I claim that truth for myself, I claim it for every person, every being, everywhere. And that is where the equality comes in. Just because somebody or something finds themselves in a situation where there's a need for assistance, it doesn't have an impact on the inherent wholeness of that person. This is incredibly important to get for us. Because, beloveds, at any time, each one of us can find themselves in a situation where we actually have to reach out. And I want for us to have gained this understanding before that moment, so that we can do it from a place of wholeness and receive the goodness that is coming our way. And I'm not going to call anybody out, but I know for a fact there are several individuals here in the sanctuary at this moment, and beloveds who are joining us today online, who have just gone through that experience, who have just been faced with having to say, I need something. I need beloveds. And how much easier that path is when we are grounded in our wholeness. So now where helping expresses an inequality of strengths, fixing approaches life as something is broken. When we, and I wish I would have a cape. I don't think I can do it with this, I want to fly in. When we fly in with a hero's cape, and we are here to fix something, because something is broken. Have you ever been in a situation that was really called for service, where service was needed, and yet what showed up was somebody ready to fix it? I'm just going to pause for 15 seconds here and allow you to have the myriad of experiences come up, right? Many of us are in this wonderful class right now that Reverend Leslie is offering, this book study of the 15 commitments of conscious leadership. And it is it is the work, and I see people nodding, yes, it's amazing, right? It's this work that really starts off, their teaching symbol is one line, just one line. And at any moment, the question is, are you above the line? And it's actually an I question. Am I above the line? Meaning, I am open and willing and curious to learn and see what's possible here? Or am I below the line, which is about being right and knowing all the answers and being closed up? We all get that, right? If you're in the class or not, we all get that. Well, here's what happened when I studied this, this book, this first commitment for the class. It hit me that the hero is part of the what's called the drama triangle, and it is below the line. Now, for many people, this might be totally a clear thing, but for this woman who loves to, you know, swoop in with a cape every once in a while, this just stays between us, okay? It hit me. It really hit me that that keeps everybody below the line. This beautiful intention of wanting to make something better, of wanting to bring forth an elegant solution, hopefully, of just being a beneficial presence. When it is not anchored in my own wholeness, it actually shows up as somebody swooping in and fixing something. And what we know about fixing is, it is never a long-term solution. It's just something to put a Band-Aid on something. It does not take the time to go deeper and look at the underlying dynamic that created this condition to begin with. Let's take a breath. Because I can hear the question, well, now that you have realized that, how do you uplift yourself above the line? How do you let go of seeing something as broken and lift it up above the line so that everyone can come together for a creative, sustainable solution? I'm so glad you asked that question. So in order to uplift ourselves, this work is asking us to let go of the idea of a hero trying to fix something and bring more the image of a coach in. A coach that that is helpful in facilitating, guiding, in encouragement. And so the questions that we can ask is, how can I take only 100% responsibility for this, not more than that, and allow everybody else to take 100% responsibility for their part? And what does that remind us of? It brings us back to what I started this talk about, that we see each other as equals, that we approach every situation and life itself really as a mutual, equal experience. That we don't see another as needing help or as broken, but rather that we ask, how can I come with my unique talents and gifts and uplift this situation without taking over somebody else's part? Let's take a breath together. Let's take a breath together. Now, how then can we walk this out this week? How then can we take all of this, and have a different experience in our life? Well, at any moment, we are asked and invited to many, many service opportunities. It's every time really we're relating to another. And I loved what Michael Graham said. Service is what prayer looks like when it gets up off its knees and walks around in the world. We might say, service is what prayer looks like when we get out of our prayer chair and walk out into the world. For every moment we are asked, how am I relating to another? Might that be this spiritual community? Might that be our families, our communities outside of here? Might that be life? How do I relate to it? Do I come from a place where I know that I'm whole, perfect, and complete, and I know that that is the truth of the other? And if not, how can I bring myself back to that center space? Beloveds, that is the work that we are doing here together. And I'm so grateful we're on this journey together. Thank you. And so let us do exactly that. Let us anchor this truth in prayer. And so we recognize that there's one power, one presence. That the God of our understanding is infusing every moment, every interaction, every inch of our being, everything. There is only one. And as we breathe into the one, we open our entire being and recognize that truly, as the divine is whole, perfect, and complete, I am whole, perfect, and complete. There's no separation. There is nothing in between. The very echo of the divine pattern of goodness and love, the grace that is everywhere present, is present within me. And so I open my heart, my beingness, and I allow it to rise up. And it is from this place of deep knowingness that I speak a word of blessing for every beloved who is part of the New Vision Center, for every beloved who has ever been part of this beautiful organization, and for those beloveds who don't quite know yet that it is here, and yet they are feeling the call on their soul to find a place, to step into community where we can know more of what it is and how it is when we live in alignment with the truth. Spirit and I are one eternally. And so there's gratitude, so much gratitude rising up for knowing that this is the truth, that this is how life unfolds, that all is truly, truly well. And so with an overflowing heart, uplifting every beloved within the sound of my voice and every beloved who has placed a prayer request into our prayer ministry, I'm just so grateful to know that this is the truth and that there's nothing more to do but to let it be, to let it go, to place it into the law that says, yes, it is already done. And so we let it go, we let it be, and together we know this truth as we say together, and so it is.